The air was crisp and the stars were twinkling. It was a perfect night for a leisurely walk. Josephine loved walking at night. She felt a sense of calm in the darkness, as if the veil of the night protected her from the harshness of reality. Josephine had been walking for a while when she noticed the streetlights flicker. It caught her attention, but she shrugged it off, thinking it was just a power outage. However, when the streetlights began to flicker rapidly, she started to feel uneasy. She quickened her pace, trying to get home as soon as possible. She could feel eyes on her, but when she looked around, there was no one there. She felt like she was being followed, which made her break out in a cold sweat. As she turned a corner, she saw something that took her breath away. There was a figure standing in the middle of the street. It was tall, thin, and had glowing red eyes. It just stood there, watching her, as if it was waiting for her. Josephine's heart was beating so fast she thought it would burst out of her chest. She tried to run, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. They felt heavy, like they were made of lead. She was stuck, frozen in fear. The figure started moving towards her, slowly at first, then faster and faster, until it was right in front of her. Josephine screamed, expecting the worst, but the figure didn't attack her. It just stood there, watching her. Then it disappeared. Josephine was left standing there, alone in the street, trembling with fear. The next day, there was news of a massacre in the town. The killer had somehow managed to get into people's homes and brutally murder them in their sleep. There was no trace of the killer, no fingerprints, no DNA evidence. It was like the killer had just vanished into thin air. Josephine knew what had happened. The figure with the glowing red eyes had been the killer. It had watched her, waiting to see if she was an easy target, but for some reason, it had spared her. Josephine couldn't shake the feeling that it was still watching her, waiting for the right moment to strike. Days turned into weeks, and Josephine became increasingly paranoid. She started seeing the figure everywhere she went, lurking in the shadows, watching her. She felt like she was going crazy, but she couldn't ignore the feeling that the killer was still out there, waiting for his next victim. One night, Josephine woke up from a nightmare, covered in sweat. She couldn't remember what the nightmare was about, but she had a sense of looming danger. She went to the window and looked out, hoping to calm her nerves with the fresh air. That's when she saw the figure again. It was standing outside her window, staring at her with its glowing red eyes. Josephine screamed and ran out of her room, hoping to find someone to help her, but it was too late. The figure was already inside her house. She could hear it moving around, searching for her. Josephine knew that she had to act fast. She grabbed a kitchen knife and readied herself for the confrontation. When the figure finally appeared, Josephine lunged at it with the knife, but the figure was too quick for her. It knocked the knife out of her hand and pinned her to the ground. Josephine thought that it was the end for her, but then a miracle happened. The figure suddenly disappeared, leaving Josephine alone in her house. She didn't know what had happened, but she was grateful to be alive. From that day on, Josephine decided to move to a different city, away from the memories and the danger. She never spoke of the incident to anyone, fearing that people would think she was crazy. But she knew what had happened. The figure with the glowing red eyes had spared her life, and she was determined to make the best of it.